The following is a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. For more information, please visit our website at dallasgenealogy.org.
All right, I'm going to introduce our speaker, and she's here in the room, Brenda Watlington, and she's going to talk about German and Eastern European research on family search. She is currently the Assistant Director of the Plano Family Search Center and is also a consultant there. And she has done several speaking engagements recently for the Great Family Search Conferences in Richardson and Plano, Texas, and at the several family search centers from 2013 to 2022. And she's also spoken at the Denton Family History Conference and the Arlington, Texas Family History Seminar. So I'd like to welcome Brenda.
So I did provide my email here in case anyone needs to reach out to me. I'm happy to help with any questions that don't get answered today. And I do ask, please, if you can hold your questions till the end. They'll be collecting them on the chat if you have them, and we'll go through those at the end. As Ann said, I am the Assistant Director of the Plano Family Search Center. We host, you may have been to visit us, we host the Great Family Search Conference every fall for Plano and Richardson. And the website for our conference is greatfamilysearch.com, and we'll be doing online registration this year for our conference on October 28th, if you'd like to put those on your calendars. So I called my class, this lesson, for German and Eastern European research. The reason for that is that you can see on this 1871 map, when I think the German Empire was first formed and at its largest, that a lot of these countries on the eastern side are now other countries in modern times. My family were from this area called Silesia, Prussia, which is now part of Poland. So if you're in some of the areas of Russia and other countries, so if you're doing research from your family in those areas today, you will ultimately get back to the German records. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But it helps to know that from the get-go, that you're going to ultimately be back in German records for those areas. I thought it might be interesting for you all to know a little bit of family search background. I have a short timeline here of a family search and how soon our German record collection started. In 1894, the Genealogical Society of Utah was formed. Family search was originally this genealogy society, and it was formed in 1894. They sent 2 paid agents to start collecting records. One agent went to England for records in the United Kingdom, and this man, Julius Billeter, who was a Swiss immigrant, was sent to Germany to collect records that early. So Herr Billeter was a genealogist his whole life long. He did all of his life work for collecting these German and Swiss records, and ultimately died in Switzerland in 1957. In 1938, the Genealogy Society began microfilming records, and that was at the suggestion of this other German immigrant named Ernst Kohler. He was a professional photographer, and he photographed his records before his family left Germany to immigrate to America. And in 1934, he had actually suggested to the Genealogy Society of Utah that they begin photographing records. But unfortunately, the photographs were difficult to read. You couldn't enlarge them very well. It didn't work out very well. But in 1938, when microfilm became available, he suggested that they start using microfilm. And they tasked him with investigating to find the right microfilm machine they should purchase. Once they bought it, he was the one who did all the initial testing on it and proceeded then to train others to use them and to film on them. So by the 1960s, the Genealogy Society of Utah had collected so many records, almost 2 million microfilm reels, a lot of books and papers, and they needed a secure place to store them. So they started building the what's known as the Granite Mountain Storage Vault. They began putting records in there as early as 1963, but it wasn't completed in 1965. And I have this other image that kind of shows you really how deep down under the mountain these vaults are. And they're perfectly climate controlled. Geologists investigated and have said that, there's no risk of any damage from earthquake or anything. So It's pretty amazing that that's where all of the records are stored for Family Search. In 1998, they began digitizing all those microfilms, which means putting them online so that we could see them on computers. And then in 1999, they launched the Family Search website, which we're all familiar with. By 2005, the Family Search website had become so popular that they decided to go ahead and just change their name to Family Search International. And I did notice the logo for their society is very similar to the DGS logo with the tree and the circle. That was interesting. In 2006, Family Search started volunteer indexing projects. If you're not familiar with indexing for German records, I hope that I can help you understand. Indexing is the process of a person looking at a record, an image that's typically handwritten, it could be typed, and they transcribe the information on that record into computer fields. And that allows us to go in and type a name in the box on a computer, and it will go and find those records for us. So the censuses have all been done that way. The 1950 census was actually indexed by a computer, and then humans reviewed it. They started that process in 2006. And in 2011, they held the first annual Roots Tech conference in Utah. They did branch out in, I think it was 2019, they actually held a Roots Tech conference in London, but they haven't done one since then in London. I don't know what happened with that, but the one in Utah is still going strong. In 2014, they looked back at these records they started indexing in 2005 and figured out that it was going to take 300 years for volunteers to get all of those records indexed so that they could be computer searchable. So they enlisted the help with all of these other companies and formed a partnership with these other pay sites like GeniaNet and Ancestry, Find My Past, My Heritage, American Ancestors, to partner with them that Family Search would share the records that they had collected with these companies, and these companies then would go out and pay their indexers to get them indexed. And we share the load that the work can all get done faster. In 2021, they actually finished all of the digitization of the projects, the films that they had planned to. They started back in 1998. Now, in 98, they thought that was going to take 50 years, but they actually finished it in about half that time because of technology advances. And then in 2023, I wanted to show you what's happened recently. This is a report that I received called Records by the Numbers from March. And it shows that, there are over 200 countries and more than 100 languages represented in the Family Search collections. Just in the prior month from February on this March report, in that 1 month, 72 million new historical records were published. And they added also that 1 month, they added 7.25 million records. The total number of images out there are 1.7 billion. And the total number of digital images at that time was 4.98 million. And I have some updates for that in a little bit. So the interesting thing is currently Family Search, the last number I heard is there are 353 cameras around the world that are continuing to get new records for us. And you can search those by going to, on your Family Search login page, you can go to Search and Images. And this counter right here, that 5 billion counter, that was the 4.98 billion that was on that March report. When I screen snapped this on May 1, it was 5.071 billion. And we checked just a few minutes ago, and it was 5 billion, almost 80 million, counting up to that. And it's like a ticker, it's like watching the national debt clock. It's kind of interesting if you want to go check it out. It's a lot more positive than that. But you can click here and view the most recently added images. And I wanted to point out that when I looked at this, I updated it yesterday. On May 12th, there are images that are being added from, I can't pronounce this, from Prussia, Germany. And you can see there are, just since April 28th, they have added 353,000 images. And I can actually add the place here and say, go look at that. And I could also do the map. It's not showing up on there. Click on the map, and you can see where around the world those records and images are being captured with those cameras. I can drill down to Germany and only see the ones that are being captured in Germany. And this is in the last 2 weeks, okay? Just in the last 2 weeks since April 28th, their cameras are in these areas in Germany. And I believe that a lot of these may be films that had not yet been digitized, and they are now digitizing those. Not that there's actually somewhere there in that location with the camera. But I can also look and see that just for Germany alone, in the last 2 weeks, there are 60,195 new images added. And these are links, you can click on it. And if I click on that, it's like looking at a microfilm, or you're looking at the digitized images. And you can see these are from Langstadt, Germany, and their death records. And I can actually, click on these to view them. And if I find one that's my family, I can click up here. Can't minimize that so that you all can see it in the room. But I can click up here and say attach to family search. And so you can attach these to family search directly from these images. And I do want to point out that if these are new images that were just captured, they really won't show up anywhere else on a family search catalog for almost a year. It takes that long and that many people to process them to get them in the catalog format. But you can look at them here through the search record images. So what does Family Search have in their German record collection? If we go to search and click records, you could type a name here to see what's been indexed for your family, but let's scroll down and search by place. And we want to search by Germany. And I do want to mention, anytime you're typing a place specifically or a date, look for the drop down and select it from the drop down box. And that makes sure that you're on that standardized place. So if we're looking at records in Germany, that brings us to what's called the German resource page. And on this page, you can click to view the wiki for Germany. We can also scroll down and look at the Learning Center. We get all these. There's 74 learning courses to help your genealogy research for Germany, just for Germany. And you can click here to view all of the classes that are out there that you can watch. A lot of them relate to using the wiki, the handwriting, dealing with understanding how to read the records, and as well as how to find them. You can also see what records have been indexed, and you could search here by name, but I want to show you what's in all of the German index collections. And I'm going to sort by the number of records, and I had to shrink down so you can see it, but you can see here 76 million records for German Lutheran baptisms, marriages, and burials, 27 million just for German births and baptisms. Now, I want to point out, these don't have a place on them. They just say Germany, right? So we all know from doing German research how important it is to find that town of origin in order to look for records. And that's been the big stumbling block for a lot of people. If you can't find a record on immigration or US records, or you don't have word of mouth on this town of origin, you're kind of stuck and don't know where to look, because all the records in Germany were held at those local levels. But as they are being indexed, they are being put in these larger collections that don't have a place name. So we're getting to the point now that you can actually, if you don't know where your ancestor was from, you could type a name in the search box on the computer and it will find him in index records. And you will have to know enough about the family to make sure you have the right person. But, for example, there may be thousands of Johann Schmidts out there. So you would need to know that you're looking at the right Johann Schmidt, and that you found the right person. But it's kind of exciting to think that we're getting to that point where you won't have to know the town of origin specifically. You can do a hunt like this, find all the Johann Schmidts in the towns, and then check their families that match what you know about the families, and you'll know then where your family was from. You can continue searching. So that's exciting. I also wanted to look to sort by the records that were last updated. And you can see here on May 9th, these records for North Rhine-Westphalia were updated for civil registration records. And I noticed, I think the reason those are being updated right now, if I go back to this German resource page and scroll down, it shows me the current indexing projects. And right now, that area of North Rhine-Westphalia, those civil registration records are being indexed by people. When I looked in March, there were 3 indexing projects for Germany. And then when I went back in May to start putting the slides together, those had all be finished. And this one was the only one that was just getting started at 0%. I checked yesterday and it's up around 15% completed now. So it's going pretty fast. These records are getting indexed. You can also look at the ones that haven't been indexed that are only available as images right now. So the next thing I want to talk about is the research wiki page. You can get there from that German resource page by clicking on the wiki for Germany. You can also get there from search on the main page and then click on research wiki. You would have to type Germany in the place, and then you want to select German genealogy. And that brings you to the wiki page. So I want to point out these topics over here, if you click on those, they take you to another wiki page. And I will go through some of those in a minute, but if you click on these are like contents links, shortcuts down further down into the document. And if we can also get there by scrolling down. So the things that are how-tos on this wiki page, you've got guides, how to find your town of origin, where to look for records, classes, and tutorials, and other information on German research. You also have these research tool links out to the gazetteers for Myers Gazetteer, the Kartenmeister Gazetteer. You've got help for handwriting, genealogy keywords, so that if you don't speak the language, you just come to understand what the keywords are for births, marriages, and deaths that you're looking for. And then even a letter writing guide if you need to write a letter to someone to get the records. One thing I do want to point out is that the Myers Gazetteer, which captures those towns from that 1871 Empire map that I showed at the very beginning. A key thing to note is that as Family Search began microfilming the records of Germany, those records were organized in the card cataloging using those place names, meaning the ones from the 1871 Myers Gazetteer map. That system is still in use today in the Family Search catalog and Family Search historical records. So what that means is you might have a modern town name where your family was from. And in my case, my family was, the modern town name is Len, Poland, W-L-E-N, Poland. But the original town name for that that I found in the Myers Gazetteer is Len, Prussia, which is L-A umlaut H-N, Prussia. So it's spelled differently, pronounced the same. But it's important to know that once you find your town, you need to find it in that 1871 records. That's how you're going to search on Family Search for those places. And so I want to really stress that that's a key thing to understand about the records in Family Search. If we scroll down a little further, there are links here for all of the provinces, kingdoms, and duchies of the German Empire. There's my family was in Schlesien. You can click on that. I could also scroll down and have these maps that are visible that are all clickable. And so if I click here on Schlesien, it takes me to a wiki page for Schlesien. And over here on the topics, it's telling me that the major record types that I'm going to find from there are church records and civil registration, which that's going to be the bulk of your genealogy research in most areas that you look. You're going to be depending on those church records and the civil registration records. So this gives a little background on Prussia and on Schlesien. And I can also scroll down and click here to see what records are available online for Schlesien. And if I click that, it takes me to another wiki page for Schlesien, and I can see the date ranges that births are available, and And you can see that some of them are in church books on ancestry. So we're showing these partner sites that Family Search is partnered with. We're not just showing information about Family Search. We're giving you information about where you can find the records, no matter where they are. In this case, this link for civil registration, there's some records available on the Gen Wiki. So it's a nice thing to look just to see, well, what dates are things available? So you kind of get an idea if you're on a fruitless hunt to find a record that isn't even available yet. For the topics that are available on the German Wiki page, you can see there are strategies here for if you're just beginning research, and you can click there and it'll take you to some ideas on where to start, how to find records, tips on finding that place of origin, and other aids for finding German records. You've got information help for reading the records, the tutorials on the script, handwriting, feast days, because that can affect some of your dates that you're looking for. And then other record types that you can browse through. And there are, I'll just point out here, one of the things that I thought was interesting is there were military records there. And if I go to click on military records, it takes me to this wiki page for German military records. And if you scroll down, you can see there are some online resources there for military records in Germany, on Ancestry at Find My Past. And then there are also military records by war. So if you know your ancestor fought in a certain war, then you can link to them by war and scroll through those and find where they're located. There are also German population records. And this is interesting. These are address books. There are moving records. And I've links where you can go out and look for those on other sources other than just Family Search. For Germany immigration and immigration records, you can scroll down and see the places where you can look for passenger list. And they, like I said, they do go off of Family Search. They go out to where those records are. And then there's also a list of records for refugees and displaced persons that come up as late as 1971. So how do you find index records on Family Search? All these boxes all over the place that you can type a name in and search, you can do that. My personal preference is I like to start from the person's profile page and in Family Tree. And if you're using Family Tree on Family Search and have your people located in there, I know it can get frustrating because it's a worldwide tree and you put information in, someone else can come and change it. And we do get frustrated by that. But I've had some really positive things come out of those collaborations from other people, that they have information I didn't have. They have pictures I didn't have. They maybe found a source or a record of something that I didn't have. And so that can be very beneficial. But Family Search is changing some things to help us with that. And one of the new things that's changing is, I'll go through this a little bit, but just the layout settings of the new Family Search page. This information here on the events and dates, et cetera, you can either look at it in double column or you can look at it in single column, as you can see the difference here. So if you're doing double column, it shrinks your page down. The other thing they changed is you can reorganize the sections on this profile page. They used to have the life history at the top of the page and they moved it down to the bottom. But if I want to move it back to the top, I can do that. I can drag it up and move it back to the top. Another thing that's new that really helps us with these, maybe to stop some of the hijacking, I call it, of our ancestors, is you can add a note. They always had notes. It was up here on the top bar, but now they've moved it to the side. And now they've added a checkbox that you can make this an alert. And because it's an alert, it's going to give a warning to people who try to do things to this person on Family Search. And in this case, my alert is please do not merge Carl Joseph Julius Tietz. They're not the same person. They're brothers and have different birth and christening dates. And so when I save that now, it shows this alert at the top. And hopefully people will click on those to read them. If they don't, they will also see it in that notes section on the side. And if they actually try to merge the two people that have similar names but are different, they're going to see this warning on the merge that they need to go check that out and look at it before they do the merge. Mm-hmm. You can definitely tag sources, and I'm going there next. Like marriage record that shows the names of the parents of both bride and groom. And that's where I'm going next. One of the new things that they have added is we always had the capability of tagging their main name to a source, but now they've added for alternate names. And for example, his full name was Johann Bernhard Julius Tietz. He went by Julius his whole life. And so I've added that as an alternate name. And what I can do now is I can tag sources to that name. And these are the sources that I have attached to him on Family Search. And I can check marks all the ones that are Julius and then save that. And so now if someone comes along and says, well, he never went by Julius, he went by Bernard, right? Because they're confusing with their ancestor who maybe was Bernard. If they go to edit this to change Julius, they will see all these instances where this man was Julius on the Civil War enlistment. He was Julius in the Soldier's Index. He was Julius in this Michigan birth record, all the places that he went by Julius. And hopefully that will stop them from changing his name to something that was for a different person and stop a lot of the confusion on Family Search with people hijacking your ancestor. So I love those things. So in the case of my Johann Bernhard Julius, if I click to change his name, I see all of these instances of his name where they're different. Like in his New York passenger list, it was transcribed as John Spitz. In the 1860 census, he was listed as Julius Ziltz with a Z. And you can see here on this Michigan birth record, he was listed as Julius Tezdt, T-E-Z-T, and another Julius Fitz on this birth record for Michigan. And then in 1880, he was listed as Julius Dietz, because as we know, those D's and T's have a similar sound in German pronunciation. So the census taker thought it started with a D. So with these variations in names, how can you find your ancestors? And mine's that's only a 4-letter name. So I can't imagine if you got a long German surname, how different the transcriptions are. So when you're searching records, you'll see all of the partners that Family Search has, as well as Google, that you can search all of these. And the nice thing about searching through the profile page like this is, in an example, I can click on Ancestry. And if I'm logged into my Ancestry account, Family Search automatically filled in all of this search information on the left, and it's showing me his information on the right. So you don't have to go through multiple trees to find them. You don't have to type a lot of information in when you're searching. You can just go through, if you go through the profile page, it fills all that in for you. So if I'm going to search on Family Search, note that it has his name in his vital records area. It also has the alternate name, Julius, there that it will search records for. And it found quite a bit of information for him right off the bat without me changing anything. But I wanted to show you some of the wild character searches. For example, how do I find those records that were Fitz and not, where they thought the T was an F when they transcribed it? You can use a question mark to replace a single letter in a name. And I always recommend, notice I got rid of the Johann Bernhard because he really didn't use that name in life. I also changed the birthplace just to Germany and eliminated the actual exact location in Germany. And then I broadened the birth year so that we can find more of those records. Because people's age isn't always the same on every record. They estimated their ages, and people didn't keep track, I think, of their birth dates like we do now. So if I do that, the results I get my John Julius Tietz, I get a Julius Witz, who's in a different place in Germany, another Karl Ludwig Julius Eitz, it looks like. And none of these this is the only one that's mine. None of the rest of them are mine. And I'll show you how to filter that later. But I also want to show you if I just wanted to get all of the names that end with a Z, I can do asterisk Z as a wildcard in the search name. And I still have the broad Germany and the broad birth year. And this gets, it gets two more of his records, but then it also gets a lot of these Julius Schultz, et cetera, that are not him. So how can I fine tune this? One of the things that you can do, if you know where your ancestor lived, you can filter by residence. And so I can say, well, I click residence, I click United States of America, and I click the counties I know he lived in. They immigrated to Huron County, Michigan. And I want to point out for both these counties, I had to do this in two separate steps in reality. I'm showing you both counties highlighted on one image just for purposes of the presentation, but I actually had to pick Huron County, and then I had to go back and add another residence to get down to Tuscola County. But when I apply that, you can see it shows that I'm filtering based on these residences. And now with this wildcard, a character star Z, it's picking up the Julius Ziltz in 1860 in Huron County, Michigan. And it's picking up Julius Dietz in 1880 in Huron County, Michigan. And Julius Tietz in 1870 in Huron County. So, and I know these are all the same people. These are him because of the family associated. They're all the same wife, Amelia. This was actually Franz Theodor, and here he's listed as Theodore, and there somehow it got transcribed as Thaddeus. But I can say that, that's my family. And I know those are his records. Now, when you find these records, these symbols over off to the right, this is where you would click if you want to attach it. That will take you to the record information. If you see this camera, that means there's an image of this record that you can look at the document. And I do encourage that if you're searching for your town origin, the information that was transcribed may say he was born in Germany, but if you actually go look at the handwritten census record, it's possible that it might have other information that didn't get transcribed for that. And this little tree icon means that it is attached in Family Search to someone, and I could click on that and it would show that it was attached to my ancestor. So another thing that you can do is, if let's say I want to specifically look at immigration records, I can click on collection and say filter by collection. And I could type the name of the collection up here in the upper corner, or I could scroll down and just checkbox that I want to see all migration and naturalization records for him. And then if I apply that collection filter, it pulls up this Germans to America index where he shows up. And that is the date that he arrived on 30th June, 1857. Now, this is not him. And this doesn't find his passenger list, which I found was indexed and transcribed as James Fitz. So another bad spelling, transcription error. So something else that you might be interested in is, we've been looking at records in the US, but if all you want to look at are Germany collection records, then on the right-hand search bar, you can say, I want to add a record option by location and add Germany as the location and click search. And now I'm only looking at records for him in Germany, in the German collections that Family Search has. And I noticed here he is. Here's the brother that gets confused as him. And you can see they're born a year apart with the same parents. And I do have them attached in Family Search. if you see this person icon, that means that it's not attached, but Family Search computers have decided that they think this man, Julius Teed, who's not my ancestor, not anyone I know, but they think he's in Family Search already and can be attached. If you click on that person, it'll show who that is. If I wanted to say find all of the children of Bernard and Henrietta Fickern, I could delete the surname completely from my search. I'm going to keep Tietz spelled the way it was because it seems like the German transcriptions are pretty good. They don't confuse, people transcribing those don't seem to confuse the letters. They know how to read German. And I'm going to, broaden the birthplace a little bit and expand the years to include all of the children of Bernard and Henriette. And then when I search on that, it finds, I can add the family members. So I can say specifically, I'm looking for a mother named Henriette Fickern and a father named Bernard Tietz, and then click search. And I get all of their children. The screen wasn't big enough for me to get all the rest of them, but if I scroll down, you would see all of their children listed in the birth records. And they were all born in Lahn, Silesia, Prussia, or Lynn, I think it's pronounced Lynn. So they're all there in one place. And now that I know that they're there, I could actually do a broader search, keep the name blank, leave the same surname, keep the place, get rid of all the birth dates and years, and search for records in this area of Germany with people with that last name. And it brings up a lot. It brings up over 5,000 of them, right? That's almost too many to go through, right? We can't grasp that. We'd be paging through pages, screens on Family Search forever. But what you can do is you can click on preferences. One of the options under preferences now is you can export your search results into a spreadsheet. And you can click if you want it in this Excel spreadsheet format or comma separated or tab separated, or this ODS is the Google Open Document spreadsheet, and export the results. It will let you do, unfortunately, only up to 100 at a time, but you can do this multiple times to capture every screen of information and export results. And it creates a spreadsheet that downloads to my computer. I massaged this a little bit by expanding the fields, deleting some blank columns so you can see more. But I've got all of these names. They're all born in that area. There's that part of Germany in Silesia. And these are birth records listing the parents. I did another capture of a spreadsheet that shows more records going back further. And these are birth marriages. It shows the fathers, mothers, spouses, dates they were married, where they were married, when they died, where they died. So these spreadsheets can be really valuable because now you can sort them, search them, basically kind of build your whole family tree from these records that have been indexed. And I think that's pretty powerful. The other thing I want to point out is these links on the left take you back into Family Search. And this is the record page for Veronica's death. I can attach it to Family Tree from here, or I can actually look at the image. And when I looked at this image, I saw this whole page was Tietz surnames. They all had Tietz surnames on them. So they're all somehow related to me. And I can copy that film number. And then if I go back to my search down here where I had the location Germany, I can change that to search for people on that film. And this will get me all of those surnames for the Tietz surname that are on that film. And then when I search those, it shows that there were really only 96 of them on that film. But you can see that, how powerful that is, that you can actually be sure that you're looking at your family, where they lived, that everyone with that surname is going to be related to you in one way or another, and basically put your family together just from these research tools. So that's why it's so important to have that these records have been indexed, because that makes them show up on all these computer searches.
So the wife you're looking at, his name was Henrietta.
Yes.
And first page, I thought where you showed her name, I thought it said Fickern.
Fickern, that's her last name.
Okay.
Her maiden name.
Because on the next page, I saw it listed as Fickertt. And that's my maiden name.
Oh, is it? Okay. We'll have to get together maybe there's a connection there.
It's an adopted family, but still it's
yeah, I don't know. Are people on the Zoom able to hear her questions? Okay, I apologize, people on the Zoom. She thinks she might be related to me, so I'm excited about that. We'll look into that later. So another way to search is what's in Family Search's catalog. And this is what you're going to have to resort to if the information has not been indexed yet. You're going to have to go through the catalog. And to get there, you search, click catalog. And these are the things that you can search by. Surnames and titles, if it's a book and you know the exact title, that could be effective. Or if you know the author, that could be effective. But I find myself using mostly the place, the subject, and keywords that are on it. And I usually always check online because I'm looking online. I don't want to have to go to a family search center to see the records. And if I click search, and I just start typing in my place name, I'm going to type Lynn, Germany. And as I said, as you're typing, look below, because it's going to be prompting you for places that might be what you're looking for. And I didn't have to get very far before, I could see, well, okay, this is the one I'm looking for, the one in Schlesien, Germany. And when I click that and say online, I could also get there another way by going broad, right? Just say, I want to look at all the records for Schlesien, Germany. And then, as you can see, there really aren't many of these. There are some that have landed property records, et cetera, but just one record, one Jewish record, one history record. And the reality is, as we know in Germany, those records that we're looking for were kept at local levels, not at the broader province level. But I can click here to search places within Schlesien, and it brings up a list of all of the towns in Schlesien. And if I scroll down, I can find my Lynn right there, that I can click on that. And that takes me to the same place as if I had put Lynn in my original search. And you can see there's church records and civil records. So if I click on the church records, one thing interesting to note, Family Search knows now that this town is now known as Lynn in Poland. It knows that. So I think I might have actually been able to go search by Lynn, the WLEN in Poland, and it may have pulled up the same set of records. The other thing to note is it's telling me that they're available online. And I want to point out that doesn't mean that all of them are available online. It means some of them are. And if you click here, it would let me type in a name to search online. But if I scroll down, I can see from this list of information on the films that are available for the church records, this little search icon here means it is online and I can search it. And this camera icon means there are images, but unfortunately, do you see the key on that? We've probably all stumbled on this a time or two. That key means that the records are locked, and the custodian who shared the records with Family Search put a restriction on them that they were not generally viewable by the public. They could be viewed at a library. And so you would have to be at a Family Search Center to view those records. And if you click on one of these, it will tell you that and then give you a little box that you can check to find a local Family Search Center or an affiliate library. And I would like to point out that Dallas Public Library is an affiliate library. Where I live in Plano, public libraries are an affiliate library. And I think several other ones around the Metroplex are also affiliates that you can access these records just by going into the library and using their computers. If you're at a library, you'll see, when you look at them, this is what you'll see, the little key and lock is gone, and you just see the camera icon will let you look at the images. So if I go to look at this, this is records for baptisms for Tofa and Haratan and Tota, which are baptisms, marriages, and deaths. And it's the right time reign for my Julius' birth record. He was born in 1829. So we're looking at the right time reign for those births. And so I can click to go view those. And I want to give you some pointers on if you're looking at a film like this that's not been indexed. It's overwhelming, right? There are 520 images here. That's not too bad, but you could scroll through those one by one. But you can narrow it down some, and I'm going to show you if you minus to zoom out on this screen where you can see these black sections where the section of the films begin and end. Just ahead of that, this image right here is going to be a section header. And on a lot of films, the section header itself is black, and you won't see the begin. That section header acts as the beginning mark of the film. So I want to look at, there are more. This is just top what I could fit on the screen, but I'm going to look at these first two, and I want to look at the section headers to see what they are, what kind of records they are, and if they're in the range of image numbers that I need to look at. So if I clicked on this first one, I can see this is actually the Polish name for baptisms. And I can see that these are from 1816 to 1847. And there's my Polish town, Lynn. So those start at image 3, and I can make note of that. And then if I looked at the other section header, I can see, well, these are still baptisms, but now they're from 1848 to 1870. And so that's outside my time range that I'm looking. And I can see those start at image 212. So what I would typically do is kind of split the difference, because I know I'm going to find what I'm looking for between image 3 and between image 212. And I can do, I will start looking at 100, for example. I don't get a calculator out. So I would start at image 100 and then look at image 100 and see what date it is. And then I can either go forward or backward, and I might need to half it again, right, to go up to 150. But you can kind of narrow down that way to hone in on the information you're looking for. And so I did that, and I found his record at image 103 for his birth. And this is it right here. And then you can see by these names at the bottom of the screen, these have been indexed. And I have it attached to him, but if I didn't, I could click here to attach this to him. And, it's kind of nice to find the actual image where you can see other people on the page, and you can scroll forward and back and look at them. But I do want to point out, if you're not lucky enough that when you find something that it has not been indexed, in this case, there are no indexes available, if that's your family and you find them on one of these images, you can still click here and attach it to them in Family Tree. Sometimes, sadly, we still encounter these symbols, and these mean that they're on microfilm. They're not digitized yet. And I know that Family Search announced in 2021 that they had completed digitizing all that they had planned to at that time, but they are still working on them. Because a number of those recent images that I looked at were from films that are now being digitized. And some of them, like I said, within the last 2 weeks have been done. So it's worth trying to capture this image group number for these that are microfilm only, because Family Search is no longer sending out microfilms to their local family search centers the way they did years ago. So I'm going to have to find another way to look at these. And so I would suggest first trying, get this image group number, copy it, go back to search the images like we were doing on those recent images. And we're going to look for Germany, search image groups. And I want to click advanced search. And I'm going to add that film number in this field to search for a DGS or film number to see if they're out there, if they were recently scanned as digitized. And unfortunately, they weren't. So what do you do then? Well, there's a mechanism that Family Search Library, the main library in Salt Lake City, has where they will do a record lookup for you. And I have some help information at the end of my presentation on how you can request a record lookup on one of those films that you can't get to. I do want to point out, this is another one of those where it's a film. This is actually a book, and it shows that it's at the Family History Library there, but I can click on this and it shows other family search centers that are where this book is available. And Plano's not in one. I didn't see any in North Texas in this list, but you might get lucky sometimes and find that it's available locally or somewhere that you can get to easily to look at. But this one happens to have this little red line up here that says, to view a digital version of this item, click here. So you can look at it digitally. I don't have to go hunting the microfilm on this particular one. So just be careful when you look at these records. Don't get disappointed by that and say, oh no, and throw up your hands and go away. Look at the whole screen. So if I click there, and I can actually find that this book, it's in the public domain, meaning it's not copyright protected, and I can view inside of it. So if I do view inside and I can see, information here, I can scroll through the pages here, and I can even download the entire book here because it's in the public domain and it's been digitized. So that brings me to my next topic is Family Search has books. A lot of what those early German researchers were collecting when they were getting information from Germany were books, phone books, address books, directories, guild books, any kind of book they could get their hand on, they would get a copy of it and send it back to the Genealogy Society of Utah. And how do you find those? By going search and click books. And you can look for a familial book. So I could just put that as a keyword I'm looking for, click search. It pulled up quite a few of them with different surnames. I could browse through those, or I could add my surname up here to the keyword search and see if I could find it. I haven't ever been able to find any of family books on my family. Maybe you're lucky enough that you have. But you can also look for the Ortsfamilien book, for the town books. And there are quite a few of those here. The other thing you can do is actually search by town. And this, I searched for Dresden, which is where some of my family was located. And I want to point out on this access level, I can filter that and say, I only want to see the ones that are in the public domain. There are 16,000 of these that are protected, and it wouldn't really do me any good to find them if I can't look at them. So you can only look, you can choose to look at the ones that you can see online. But I thought this little booklet was interesting because it says Dresden and vicinity. And when I looked at it, it's an old travel guide for Dresden. And I know my Tietz family, when they were in Dresden, they were innkeepers. So I was kind of excited at the thought I might find them in this book. And so likewise, you can page through here, I could page here, and then I could also download the whole book. Now it is in German, but Google Translate offers an actual translate where you can translate PDF files and doc files up to 10 megabytes. And I think there might be a page limit of 300 pages, but this only has 125. So I could have Google Translate this whole book for me. So if you need help from Family Search, what kind of help can you get? I'm going to direct people to go to the familysearch.org/library page. And if you scroll down, you'll see a lot of things that are, if you visit there, but click on services to see what they offer for services. And this is where that research help is. You can schedule a 20-minute free consultation with a professional genealogist at the Family Search Library that they can help give you some insights on where to go next, where to look for records, how you might proceed in your research based on wherever you are for 20 minutes. They also have this record lookup service that if you get one of those microfilms or books that you can't view online, and you can do a lookup request where someone will look it up for you and send you the information. Now you have to be pretty specific on the lookup service. You have to give them the film number, give them the book number, give them the information you're seeking, the person, the dates you're looking for, so that they have a hope of finding it without spending hours researching, but they will do lookups for you. If I go back to the main library page, there are learning resources there. They offer live webinars. They started doing that during COVID, and they're continuing now, which I love. There are those recorded classes that you can look at, information on the research wiki, which I kind of went through a little bit. And then you get access to all those Roots Tech videos from past Roots Tech events that you didn't attend. And I do want to point out that when you go to the Roots Tech website to look at videos, you can filter. You can say, I want to search for films and classes on German or Germany, and filter down to that level. Or if you want DNA, you can put that in there, that you're looking for classes on DNA, et cetera. So a lot of learning tools out there. The other thing I want to point out is if you need to go to a Family Search Center, you can click this little location icon off the main page, Family Search. And I think this shows up on pretty much every screen for Family Search, but you click that location bar, and then it will let you click here to discover a local center, and it will find someone near you where you can go and get in-person help. I'm at the Plano Family Search Center every Thursday morning, so you can come see me up there if you need if you need help. But there's a Richardson Center and several other in the Dallas Metroplex. The other thing that Family Search offers is there's a community group. You can easily find it from the wiki page for Germany. If you click here on Ask the Family Search Community, it takes you straight to the German research group where you can click to join it. You can also get there from the main page where you click on the question mark to get help, and it brings up this help screen, and you can say you want to search communities and you want to look for groups. If you have an idea, you can click here to give any suggestions, or if you need help on Family Search, you can click there. But we're looking for groups right now, and I want to type German to look for the German groups, and it pulls up the German group, and then I can click to join. So it got me to the same place. I did join that a few months ago, and I noticed that it's a pretty active group, a lot of translations ongoing that people need help with. And this is just one day from 3 in the afternoon until almost 7 at night. Several people had posted questions out there, and you can see from the number of comments several of them got answers already. I did one for Julius, his birth record, and I attached an image of his birth information that I had gotten and asked for help translating it, mainly because I saw these names at the bottom and I thought, okay, are these witnesses? But they are all, I know they're somehow relatives, right? And I wanted to know more information on them. And I posted that on April 2nd in the evening, and on the morning of April 3rd, a lady had already answered for me. So it's pretty active that, you can get answers pretty quickly. And this is where, she had actually said that his birth record says that his father was an innkeeper. So that's how I knew that information. And then it also lists the witnesses, that one of the witnesses was a gold worker in Merzdorf, Silesia, Prussia. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I wonder what that means. So we help you a lot, and here's how you can help us if you're so inclined. There's a tab at the top called Get Involved. And if you click Get Involved and click Overview, one of the ways that you can help is you can help the Family Search computers learn names. What this is you look at a name that the computer's indexed, and you identify, the computer thinks this spells Juan, and you answer yes or no. It's a simple thing. You look at it and say yes or no, this is Juan, or no, that's not Juan. And this is how the computers are learning through artificial intelligence to recognize handwriting. And as I said, the 1950 census was computer indexed. The humans reviewed it. I did a lot of reviewing on that, and I cannot tell you how many people the computers had found that were named not at home. So, a human wouldn't have made that mistake, but, so eventually I think the computer indexing will get there, but you can help it learn by participating in this name review option. If you scroll down a little bit, one of the other things that you can do is you can actually help index those records. If you speak German and you want to help out with that project, you can click here to find that German, the Rhine records that are currently being indexed, and you can help index that if you would like. There's a neat thing that I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but sometimes when you find a record on Family Search, there's a little link you can click to say, thank the person who indexed this. And it'll send them a message. You don't know who they are. They won't know who you are, but just says that, you thank them for doing that for them. Sometimes it is, but you could, they do their best with the handwriting and the language. You can also... Yes, that can sometimes happen with the snakes. So you can also help improve place names. If you find that Family Search is not accurately indicating a place name, you can update that for them and tell them where it is. And then there are some other volunteer opportunities available through the Family History Technology Lab at BYU. They have a lot of opportunities out there that you can help out. The other thing that I want to point out is, and I apologize, people in the room can't see this heading because of my Zoom menu at the top, but you can send an email to preservation@familysearch.org if you know of any records that need preserving that aren't anywhere or are at risk of being lost. I had a friend do this with some county or parish in Louisiana, that the records were being stored in an old courthouse that was in disrepair, cracked windows, the roof not being maintained, and the records were stored there, so they're at risk. And they were not available on Family Search. And unfortunately, someone on the city council there in charge of that decided that, no, they would not let Family Search come in and photograph them to preserve them. So they're still sitting there rotting. And some of you might remember this news story in Wise County last month, I think it was in March. A fire completely destroyed the old courthouse in Wise County that they were using as their historic record storage location. And it was completely destroyed by fire. But good news is that back in 1981 and 1992, they let the Genealogy Society of Utah come in and photograph those records. So we've got the deeds from there. We've got probate minutes. We've got court civil minutes and divorce records and civil case records. We've got medical records. We've got marriage records. And we've got births and deaths records from these time frame. And we've got census records that happened in the county, 10 whole microfilms of census records of births that were filed in those time frames. So, and where are these records stored? They're stored in the Granite Mountain Record Vault. So I thought that you'd find that kind of interesting. But they're available for, they're gone, the paper versions are gone, but Family Search has images of all of them. So were there any questions on the chat for that? That's pretty much all I have for you. And I hope I tried to include something for everybody, something for beginners and something for people who have very experienced and maybe need a new direction or a new way to look.
You were talking about the images that have not been indexed and the job there is to try to get things indexed. The earlier presentations I've seen indicate more than half the records that are available have not been indexed. So it is important to go search those unindexed records.
It is.
And then also volunteer to be an index.
If you can speak the language, that would be amazing. If you can volunteer to be an indexer, if you speak the language. There are still a lot of American records also that are being indexed. And if you speak another foreign language, there are other countries around the world that are indexing projects for those as well. I don't know that statistic about half of them. I would say for Germany, just from looking at the German records, I think we're closer to maybe 75 or 80% being indexed right now. And the more that we can get done, the more I think it'll be amazing for people to be able to find their ancestors easily without having to hunt through the microfilms and pore through them. But doing the microfilm thing is not that bad once you know the town of origin. If you can't find that, you're really stuck because there's too many to browse through with that. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Great presentation, lots of good information.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you all.
That asked if how long it would be available online. So I answered that we're going to leave it on for a year. You might have to repeat some of these things that people aren't.
Okay. So the answer to the question, how long, I've given them authorization to leave my presentation online for a year. So you can go back and watch it again. Slow it down if you need to stop and pause to get something that I went through really quickly. And I think leaving it out there for more than a year might make a lot of what I have obsolete because things are changing so quickly. And the website changes and the user interface changes quite quickly. But yes.
You showed a picture of the filming in Germany itself for the cameras. Mm-hmm. But I take it there's filming in Poland as well.
There are. Let me pop out real quick. Yeah, let me pop out. So the question was, I showed an image of the filming that's going on in Germany right now, but he wants to know if there is filming in Poland as well. So let me go down to pop out to my browser. We're using the Dallas Library's website. It's a little bit slower than what I'm accustomed to at home, so bear with me here. I'm going to go to search, and I'm going to click images. And here we crossed over that 80 million mark. When we looked earlier this morning, it was a 79 million something, but you can watch it tick up as the images are being captured. I think that's so mesmerizing and exciting. So for the most recently added images, I can click here and I'm going to say Poland. And update. Go here. So there are some images recently as today that were added from Poland. Baptism confirmation records for Torun, Poland. I can do a map view of these, but there's 897 so far stable. Let's see, we can do a map view of Poland, and I can shrink this down. But yeah, so in these locations in Poland, just within the last 2 weeks, they've captured images. And if you're looking at this map, I want to point out when you find your town, you can, if you click on this, it actually takes you to those records for that town. It drills down into them and shows them down here. And then I can open this up again to see that area and what was digitized there from a camera. So it's pretty amazing that, all over the world, records are being obtained from all over the world. So does that answer that question? Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Question from Mary Ellen. How do I deal with my family surname Nodes, N-O-D-E-S, which is also an English word that brings up things having to do with biology or electricity? So,
well, if you're doing a computer search and you're typing Nodes in the surname field, you're not going to get any cross reference from any of those. It's going to be looking for surnames with that name. You're not going to find any of those other uses of the last name. Now, if you're doing a Google search, that's a different matter. But if you're using a computer search like Family Search or Ancestry, where you've got a surname box that you type that name in, you know that you're going to get just the last name.
And she has another question. My ancestors came from Vienna. Would I find them under German records?
I don't know my history on that area, but I don't think that Austria would be where they would be. Okay. So yeah, I don't know that area was ever actually part of the German Empire. And but I could just click here for Austria. Oops. And we're looking at records that were captured recently, just within the last 2 weeks. So just to see what comes up. And there are some, quite a few. So let's see, where's Vienna? I don't see Vienna as one of these. But yes, so those records aren't actually part of the German collection, German information, but on the research wiki, I would suggest going up here and searching for Austria records. And hopefully this is loading. I see it spinning. So I can just type Austria. Oops. And I want to pick, not Australia, Austria genealogy. And go to, there's a wiki page for that, just like there is for Germany. There's a wiki page for every country. And they follow the same format that you've got the topic guide on the left that takes you off to other wiki pages. So that's the mechanism that you would use to search Austria. Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, I'm going to turn the time back over to Anne then.
This has been a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. If you're already a member, thank you. Your fees have been supporting these and other society activities. If you're not yet a member, please consider joining now. Go to dallasgenealogy.org and click on the membership tab.